This is my final picks and bets for UFC 319 going down tomorrow. And in about 24 hours from now, we will might have a new champ or DDP may retain that belt. But we are going to see what happens tomorrow, man. But I'm going to go through this card again, give my final picks, my breakdowns real quick. And I'm going to give my Hail Mary parlay for this card. And then I'm going to give my bets that I have right now. And then I'm just going to go through my bets for UFC 319 going down tomorrow. So let's just start off with the first off, before we get to the card, we had a few fights that dropped out. One of my underdogs fell out because of his opponent didn't make weight. Brian Battle missed weight again, and he couldn't even make middleweights on the scale. He was moving up in weight and still missed weight. So it's a bad look for Brian Battle, a very, very talented fighter, but for him to miss weight again, 2 fights in a row, and by big margins, I feel like. I think he missed by like 4 pounds. He came in at 190. He was supposed to make that 186 weight limit for the fight, and he missed it. And it's just a really bad look, man. I hope that Dana doesn't cut him. I think they keep him around. I think he does have potential, but he needs to get his life together. Like, I don't know what's going on outside of the octagon for him to pull up these fights and these these weigh-ins missing weight like this. Because his last fight, he missed his weight by 6 pounds and now 4 pounds. I just don't know what's happening. So maybe he just needs a new voice, maybe a new coach, something to kind of kick his ass into gear and getting him right on the right track to get his career back on track, because this man is on thin ice already. And one slip up, another cut, or another weight miss could get him cut from the UFC. So Brian Battle's on thin ice, and it sucked that this fight dropped out with Brian Battle and Rizaboyev. I was going with Rizaboyev. He was one of my underdog picks for this card, but unfortunately, that fight's not happening. So it sucks that a great fight got scrapped from the card. And then we had another fight. There was another fight that dropped out and got canceled, but I think that was one of the newer fights that came about. I believe it was one of the Ultimate Fighter finale fights that dropped. So I'm not complaining about that one, but to lose the Battle and Rizaboyev fight absolutely sucks for this card. But I am grateful that none of the main card pay-per-view fights got cut. Everyone made weight. Everyone showed up like professionals and did their thing. So I just had to get that out there before we start this breakdown. So let's get into the final picks, and I'll go over my final bets after my picks of the UFC 319 going down tomorrow, man. It's going to be a great card. Chicago has a stacked card still, even with these fights pulling out. So first up, we have the Ultimate Fighter season finale fight at flyweight. We have Idiris versus Morales. Now, I'm going with Idiris. I feel like he just looks like the more complete UFC fighter. Great pressure. I think the more precise striker, but he really gets after his opponents. Well-rounded, full arsenal of strikes. But I just see the will and the want from Idris a little bit more watching the tape, watching this season and what he did in the Ultimate Fighter to get to this point. I just feel like he wants it more. I know, and I think he just has a very overwhelming striking style to kind of overwhelm Joseph Morales here. Like, I wasn't impressed with Morales' last fight to get to this fight. I think he could have lost. I think the judges could have gave it the other way, but he got the decision win in his last loss. Very low output. I think he's just very, again, low output with the striking in the hands. Nothing threatening, like doesn't have the power. And this is his second run in the UFC, so I don't know, man. I wasn't impressed. I don't think Joseph Morales just gives me that oomph for me to pick him in this fight. I'm going with the more well-rounded Alibi Idris here. And he's a big favorite. I think Idris does get a TKO win. I think the punches and the kicks mixed with the wrestling I think it'll just be overwhelming for Joseph Morales to handle. And I think Idris does end up with the TKO finish here, and he wins this season of the Ultimate Fighter. Next fight. So if you guys watch the breakdown of Tuesday's breakdown of this card, I had my notes for Karini Silva fighting JJ Aldrich. That was her original opponent. But here, she got a opponent change with Diane Barbosa. So these ladies fought already about 5 years ago, I believe, in a different organization, and Diane Barbosa won that fight. But I think here in 2025, this is just a different fight. Completely different fighters. I think Karini Silva may have grown from that first fight a little bit more than what I've seen from Diane Barbosa. Now, Barbosa's still strong. I think she still can get some takedowns here, but Karini Silva coming off her first loss in the UFC. I think she bounces back, man, and she's still 31 years old. She's still young. I think she's still hungry. I think she learns a lot from that first loss to an OG like Araujo, who she lost to, who Viviane Araujo has been kind of like an OG ranked fighter in the women's flyweight division. So it's nothing to hang your hat on, like, or hang your head up about and like beat yourself up about losing to a savvy vet like Araujo. So I think Karina Silva bounces back though with a solid performance. Now I don't think it's a finish because I think Diane Barbosa is still pretty tough, but Barbosa coming in on short notice, I can't trust it. Give me the fighter who's been in full camp form, and she has already seen and fought Barbosa already. I know it was a few years ago, but still get that, you still know what these fighters like to do. And I don't think um, Barbosa has really much changed. So I think Silva knows what she's getting into. I think there is a decision 30-27, 29-28, kind of clear decision here for Silva. I think she gets back on track with the win. But yeah, that would probably be my bet there, or just my value pick is this fight going to decision, and Karina Silva getting a pretty clear decision win here. Next fight, we have Edson Barbosa versus Jakar Klose. Edson Barbosa looked really good on scale today, man. He looked shredded. He looked great. Physique looked great. And I love that this fight is back at 155. Edson Barbosa went down to 145 just to, find some new hope, kind of get new looks at new opponents, kind of make a change in his career because he's been at 155. Started off at 155. Wanted to make that change after not having so much success at 155, going down to trying to find a new, sense of I don't know, success maybe against newer opponents at 145, and things didn't really go well there. I mean, he did get some wins at 145, but for him to be at 155 this late in his career, he's 39 years old, but Klose is still 37, and I think 37-year-old Jakar Klose, his chin is looking worse than 39-year-old Barbosa. I don't like the body language of how Klose weighed in today. Just me going off feeling, but Edson Barbosa looked shredded. He looked great. I think the kicks are going to be a problem. They always are. I don't know how Klose just defends those kicks, man. Klose does really just kind of bulldoze his way in, just pressures. But to eat those kicks, I don't know how much mobility you're going to have moving in forward and being effective. I think Barbosa lands some nice punches, and I think he gets Jakar Klose out of here, man. I like the money line for Edson Barbosa. It's a really close line for this fight, but I think a finish is here. I think the value here is under 2.5 rounds is a really good value pick for this fight. So give me Edson to win by TKO. I think beating up the lead leg of Jakar Klose really neutralizes his mobility. And I think Edson Barbosa kind of just moves in and goes in for the kill of a glass chin like Jakar Close, because I just don't believe in Close's chin anymore, man. So especially coming off that brutal loss to Joel Alvarez. So give me Barbosa by finish, but my favorite value for this fight, favorite value bet is probably under 2.5 rounds. I'm not going to dismiss what Jakar Close can have and what he can do, which he does have some power. He doesn't have knockouts on his resume. And you never know in the sport. So I think being safe with the under 2.5 rounds and getting plus money there, I think that's a safe way to go, I think. Next fight, we have Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. I'm not going to make this one difficult. I feel like people are really thinking hard about this, and I'm not trying to let this fight do that to me. Alex Hernandez has never gotten over that hump in competition, and I'm really high on Chase Hooper and his potential, especially if Chase Hooper is to get his limbs around your body. I think you're going to get submitted. I'm really high on just the talent that Chase Hooper has, and Alexander Hernandez just has not impressed me like he never has. And I was high on him before he got humbled by Cowboy Cerrone, and then he ate that humble pie. I just don't think he's ever gotten that back. I mean, yeah, he's rattled off some wins since then, of course, but he's just never gotten over that hump when it matters against the opponents that matter. I know Chase Hooper is only 25 years old, and Alexander Hernandez is 32. Has kind of been through the adversity, has seen better opponents, but the fighter that Chase Hooper is, and who we're seeing of Chase Hooper in and out of the octagon, each fight from Chase Hooper, this man is evolving and he's just looking better and better. I'm taking the 25-year-old who was soaking up the game and who loves it and is hungry. I don't see Alexander Hernandez, getting around from, being held, getting grappled. Chase Hooper's too long, and Alexander Hernandez is just having trouble finding his weight class, jumping up and down from 145 to 155, trying to find a home, trying to find some consistency somewhere in his career. And I don't think this is where it's going to happen. So give me Chase Hooper. So I know people want to go by submission here, and it's a high probability because it is plus 160. It's probably looking like it is going to be by submission by Chase Hooper, but don't sleep on the decision win by Chase Hooper or this fight going over 1.5 rounds. I know I know I just kind of shitted on Hernandez, but he's still a tough-ish fighter. He is known for being, taking some punishment, but I think he can last against a Chase Hooper who is not too like his striking is not too dangerous. So I think Alexander Hernandez is fine there. But if Chase Hooper is to get this fight to the ground or get the grappling going early, maybe it gets a little shaky, but I just don't see it happening that early. So over 1.5 rounds for this fight is probably one of my favorite lines about this, or a Chase Hooper by decision is maybe your way to go. Again, the durability and the toughness of Hernandez is probably one of his best things, but over 1.5 rounds is probably what my favorite thing is. So yeah. So give me that. Give me Chase Hooper by, I say submission, but my favorite value bet here is over 1.5 rounds. Next fight, we have Andrade versus Godinez. Now, Lupi looked good on the scale. I like that. I like what I saw from Lupi. Andrade didn't look bad as well. I still kind of worry about Lupi in this fight because Andrade at strawweight she's such a beast. And, her losses come from bigger ladies at flyweight, but now she's down in strawweight. I think she can have a bit more success. I think her power and her physicality carries well to strawweight. So I kind of worry for Lupi here, but Lupi, if she can get the wrestling going, missing in the boxing instead of making it a straight boxing match. Because making a straight striking match is going to be her downfall, but I have to believe that she is going to mix in these takedowns. But my final pick is Loopy, but I'm not confident in it. I think there's still value here on Andrade. I know she's hasn't been on the best streak and hasn't had the best performances, but again, those are at flyweight against bigger girls, and where she does get bullied, and her strength doesn't really carry well up there. So this is a good shot. If you guys want to take an underdog shot here with Jessica Andrade, I'm not mad at it at all. But I do think this fight will go to decision here. I think it's going to be a close fight. Give me Lupe Godinez by decision, and it's looking like probably the best plus money you're going to find here on this, unless you go to Jessica Andrade. But next fight we have GM3 Gerald Meerschaert versus Michel Oleksiejczuk. Now, Oleksiejczuk, everyone's kind of high on this week. I know he has the boxing, he has the striking to look crisp against the grappler in GM3, but I haven't never been high on Oleksiejczuk. Again, the hands look great, the boxing is nice, but it hasn't given me like that oh shit vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's nice, yes, I respect it, but I just haven't seen enough of it for me to be like, he's gonna knock him out. Yes, give me that. Yes, that's it. Like, I haven't really seen it that much against the GM3 who has seen adversity time and time again, who has been in this position as a big underdog time and time again, and still finding ways to overcome these opponents and overcome their strengths and fight adversity, and still being able to find a submission win out of nowhere. Oleksiejczuk has been submitted 6 times in his career. And GM3 has how many submission wins? I believe it's like a double digits. 29 submission wins. Give me the value in the grappler and someone who, I get it, technically doesn't have the prettiest striking, but he has shown to have some striking. He's not completely out of the dark here. I know it's going to look totally different against someone who has the boxing of Oleksiejczuk. I get it, but there's too much value on the GM3 side. There always is. So give me the value here with Gerald Meerschaert, and give me by submission, man, against Oleksiejczuk, who has been submitted, and we've seen it. Like, it just happened like not too long ago against Kevin Holland. So you never know, man. There's too much good value here for GM3. It should just pass up. Like, I'm taking the dog shot. And the new feature prelim for UFC 319, we have, bro, I'm not even going to try to say that name, but he is friends with Chimaev and Eric Nolan. So Susurkaev, this Russian fighter, he just fought on Tuesday at the Dana White Contender Series. Got a impressive finish, and now he's here. A quick turnaround, a few days. I'm gonna take Susurkaev because the highlights that I've seen of Eric Nolan, I'm not impressed with, and I'm just going with someone who has trained with a caliber fighter like a Chimaev. So give me the Russian in that fight. And then to move into UFC 319, to move into the main card of UFC 319, we have Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Now, listen, I picked Asakura versus Pantoja because of the striking and what I saw, the flashes of power and explosiveness from Asakura. I'm very, very high on. Now that bit me in the ass, but I don't know. I thought he was going to find that punch or find that shot on Pantoja, but that just didn't happen. Tim Elliott, always an awkward style to deal with. Good wrestler. I think his way to winning this fight is wrestling, but the explosiveness of Kai Asakura, I think he kind of got his feet wet pretty quickly with getting that UFC debut fight versus the champ in Pantoja. I think he learns from that experience. I still believe in his skill set. I think he's big for flyweight. And I think Elliott is just, think he's in for a rough night, man. I know he's the awkward style guy. Timing is weird, everything. I get it. But give me Kyle Sakura to hand Tim Elliott his first knockout in the UFC. I think so. But yeah, give me Kyle Sakura to win by knockout. Flying knee, flying something, I don't know. But this man's power is still great. And Tim Elliott at 38 years old, coming off some surgeries here and there. Yeah, just everything points to the younger fighter, the more explosive fighter, Japan's finest, Kyle Sakura getting a great win. And it kind of shows out and kind of gets his stock back up after facing Pantoja and getting finished in that fight. So, and then we have Jared Cannonier versus MVP Michael Venom Page. I hate that MVP's at middleweight. I'm not a fan of the middleweight fight for MVP. I know he is coming off a win against Shara Magomedov at middleweight, but I think that stylistic matchup against someone who kind of fights not like him, but the striking, how Shara Magomedov strikes kind of plays into MVP's strengths. And MVP was just there to bully Shara Magomedov all night, basically. The kicks weren't doing anything from Shara, and MVP's timing was just it was too great. Nothing that Shara could have done could done anything to not or to win that fight. So I think he looked great at middleweight. I think that may be playing into some people's minds here, but the way MVP fights, the really karate stance, blitzing in and out, having some weird timing, just kind of does a lot, right? But when you stand back and look at it, it's not like he has a crazy output. I don't believe in that power that he has at 38 years old. Again, I think the stance and the mobility of MVP at middleweight is just not the same. I think it works so well at welterweight because he is so much bigger and longer than a lot of fighters at 170. So when he goes up a weight class, I'm just like it doesn't. I'm scared because of the strength and the power that his opponents have at this weight class, and he's fighting someone like Cannonier who has the power, who has the knockout power. To kind of if Cannonier can find the timing of MVP's kind of ins and outs, and he gets caught, I think MVP's in trouble. Now MVP does have a durable chin, but I think we've seen him rock before in the UFC against people who have less power than Cannonier. So I'm really high on just the stylistic matchup for Cannonier in this fight. Especially at plus 175, what I'm seeing here on ESPN for Jared Cannonier. I think there's good value on the underdog here. Now, I hope that Jared Cannonier can just push forward, pressure, take away the angles, take away the distance from MVP where he kind of flourishes, and kind of make this a grimy fight against the cage. Jared Cannonier, if he can get some wrestling going, use his strength at middleweight. He's strong, man. If he can use some wrestling and some clinch game up against the cage, kind of make MVP work in the clinch and make this fight an ugly fight against the cage, and use your power in the clinch and see if you can land something big and kind of stumble and rock MVP to land off some more big shots. Give me Jared Cannonier to win by decision. I just think Jared Cannonier has moments where he wins rounds and MVP is caught trying to force his game plan to where it kind of puts him in some openings where some dangerous openings to where it may get sketchy for MVP in this fight. So give me Jared Cannonier by decision. We have Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. A lot of people are high on the fight nerds and Carlos Prates. Prates personally one of my favorite nerds out of that camp, but I know people try to find any type of angle, anything that they can find to find some validation in their pick. With Jeff Neal kind of putting out there this week that he is a waiter at a restaurant or something, and he has a part-time job or a job, outside of fighting. it kind of worries people, right? And I totally get that. When I look at this fight stylistically, we have a Muay Thai striker, called Prates, who has big power, who has never seen this type of boxer and hasn't seen this type of style. Like, yes, Carlos Prates is coming off a loss to Ian Gary, to where he was losing that fight up to the last minute of the 5th round, where he almost finished Ian Gary. I totally get that. Prates has big power. I get that. He kind of downloads his game plan as he's going, as he's fighting. He kind of sees the openings. He kind of makes his reads on the timing of his opponents and kind of goes off that. He's a great, talented striker. But when you're fighting a boxer with the hands of steel, like it's in his nickname, like Jeff Neal, it worries me that Prates kind of keeps his hands wide like this and his chin up like this. Prates doesn't have the best head movement. He kind of just eats the shots. That's what I've kind of seen. Um, so it worries me that Prates is fighting a good boxer and a durable fighter like Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal, who went to the absolute edge of almost finishing Shavkat Rakhmonov, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and almost finishing him in the 3rd round, but got submitted in the 3rd round. That was a bloody war. But Jeff Neal put up a great performance. But Jeff Neal also looked great against a good and a primed Vicente Luque. I'm high on the boxing and the output and just the technique of Jeff Neal in this fight against a Muay Thai striker who may have kicks, may have a wide versatility of striking and maybe things to get this fight done. But I've seen a durable Jeff Neal who has great boxing, good technique, and a Prates who's been hit. And I feel like the outside stuff kind of interferes with my judgment here. Of I don't know if Prates loves this shit, you know? Like, yes, he loves violence, but how far can this stuff go that he does? The smoking, the drinking, the partying, stuff like that. Like, how far can it go before it interferes with your performances in the octagon? You know what I'm saying? And it's not like he fought killers getting his way here. Giles, Radke, the Leech, Magny, all finishes for Carlos Prates, but I think he's supposed to do that against that level of talent. Then you run into Ian Gary, who kind of put it on you, and he kind of made it difficult. I know this is a very, very different fight, and Gary and Neal have different styles, but I'm telling you, the boxing and the technique of Neal, and if Jeff Neal wants to put it on you and be kind of if his precise precision on his boxing is there, and if Jeff Neal is on, Carlos Prates is getting knocked out. I'm telling you guys, don't sleep on the power and the durability of Jeff Neal. So I'm taking Jeff Neal here as an underdog against Carlos Prates. I need to see it. I need to see it. Carlos Prates is moving up and fighting better competition in the welterweight division. I need to see this maturity. I need to see a little bit more from Carlos Prates for me to start picking him again. I picked Ian Gary in that last fight against Prates, and I just need to see it, man. Like, I need to see this a game plan. Just I need to see something, man, against higher competition in 170 before I start picking Carlos Prates again. Plessis at this big of a wide line, like a minus 210. I don't agree with that. So that may just be all of his aura going into that money line. So give me Jeff Neal as a valuable underdog here with the striking and boxing. And I just need to see it from Carlos Prates a little bit more. Let's get into the co-main event, man. We have Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico in his UFC debut. We have another highly talked about Bellator fighter coming into the UFC. Now, I'm picking Lerone Murphy. I started picking Lerone Murphy when we recorded on Tuesday. But I found out today that Lerone Murphy just got to Chicago for this fight. Now, I know that he took this fight on short notice, which was like 3.5 weeks. He's known about this fight or took the fight, I believe. But he just got to Chicago like this week, like Wednesday, Tuesday. And that kind of messed with my pick a little bit. That kind of had me, kind of unsure if I wanted to stick with Lerone Murphy. This is such a big spot against a tough opponent in Aaron Pico. I know he's from Bellator, but he's a very different fighter, and he's in his prime compared to uh, Patricio Pitbull, Patchy Mix, all these Bellator fighters that we've been getting. Aaron Pico has so much talent, such a more talented fighter than what we've been getting from Bellator, and he's in his prime. A really decorated wrestler, powerful striker. But listen, man, if you're not going there, man, he's going there not acclimating to the fight feels and not acclimating to the city, and jet lag may be a big thing that plays a part in Lerone Murphy's fight week in preparation. Yes, he looked good and he still trains year round. He never takes a day off. That's what he said. He's always training. He's always, improving, stuff like that. So he's physically ready. But for you to get to Chicago from the UK or wherever you're from, England, to get there 4 days before the fight, it just worries me, man. I don't know if jet lag is going to play a huge part in this. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's playing with my pick a bit. It's playing with my pick. And it's worrying me because I don't want to pick up another Bellator fighter until a Bellator fighter wins. I was talking all that hype against Patchy Mix about Patchy Mix coming to the Bellator and he was going to embarrass and beat Batista, but that didn't happen at all. So I'm having little trauma for these Bellator fighters here, and I don't know, man. Maybe I pick switch here. Yeah, I'm gonna pick flip. Give me Aaron Pico to win, but I feel like I'm gonna hate myself later on. I'm a fan of what Lerone Murphy does. I'm a fan of what he does, but he has been taken down by lesser uh, wrestlers compared to Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico could use his wrestling just to get this fight to the ground, and this may just be a fight on the ground. Who can win the scrambles? I don't know, man, but I hate that Lerone Murphy just got there this week, just late to acclimating to Chicago and stuff like that. I hate it so much. Give me Aaron Pico, man. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate myself. Plus, Aaron Pico has been knocked out and finished in Bellator, and he was finished 3 years ago. I don't know, man. He's a very, very high volume fighter, throws crazy strikes, and he has the wrestling to lean on, So I don't know. I don't know. I hate this. Now, okay. Final pick, Lerone Murphy by decision. And then lastly, we have the main event, and probably one of my favorite title fights of the year, Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis defending his belt versus Khamzat Chimaev. You know what it is, man. And still, that's what I'm rolling with. I have a lot of money on this fight again for the champ, and I'll get into that later. But I think Chimaev has 5 to 7 minutes to win this fight. If he doesn't, I think du Plessis puts on a pace, a pressure, and he finishes Chimaev by TKO of just punches, and the ref steps in and stops the fight. I don't know. Chimaev came in underweight. I don't know what's going on. It's a little weird, but he looked good on the scale. The wrestling is phenomenal. he can have his way of obviously with the grappling, but I have a hard time seeing Chimaev finding a submission on the ground or getting in a position to ground and pound Dricus du Plessis. Like, I find it tough. I have a hard time seeing it. And maybe that's just my biasness coming into this, but I have a hard time seeing Chimaev get to these positions on du Plessis to find a finish by submission or TKO. Now, I think Chimaev gets a takedown, but I think du Plessis kind of works his way up to his feet. I think Chimaev will try hard to find a submission, but I think DDP defends these submission attempts. I think Chimaev kind of gasses out by grappling so hard and finding a finish so early. I think 2 minutes into the second round, I think Chimaev is shooting sloppy takedowns and DDP is defending the sloppy takedowns and having a bit more success on the striking. And everything's kind of falling into place and the momentum shifting to the champ side. I think Chimaev looks like a big, big favorite, and the momentum's all on Chimaev's side early, especially in the first round. But 2 minutes into the second round, I think we start seeing the gas tank go. We see sloppy takedowns, and we see du Plessis kind of defend those, have some striking success, and the pressure and pace of the champ kind of wears on Chimaev. And I think Chimaev is out late second round or early third round, and I think he wins by TKO. So give me the champ to retain his belt at UFC 319 tomorrow, and I think his resume looks even better than Izzy's. And I think if DDP wins this fight, I'm moving him in second place middleweight GOAT of all time. I think this fight, beating the person that people think who was unbeatable in Chimaev, beating Strickland twice, beating Izzy once, and then beating Chimaev, those 4 wins put him second place middleweight GOAT, and I think so. It's the quality for me. It's not even the amount of defending the belt. I think it's the quality in those 4 wins that put DDP for me second place, and the first place is Anderson Silva, of course. But that's just what I think, guys. But I want to go through my bets for UFC 319 so far. Now, my single bets that I have, I doubled up on the champ DDP. I got 1 unit on DDP by TKO, KO, or DQ, plus 525. Like I said, I think that DDP is defending takedowns late in the second round, early third round, and I think he is putting the pace and pressure, having the striking success on the feet of Chimaev. And I think he gets Chimaev on the ground by sloppy takedown or whatever, and just ground and pounds him until the ref steps in and calls it. So, and then I have on DDP to just win straight, and that was plus 155. Yeah, and I have 1 unit on that. So those are my 2 bets for the champ. And then my other bet is GM3 by submission. That's plus 350. I have 1 unit on that. There's too much value on GM3 submission. Like, it's crazy. Now, my Hail Mary parlay for UFC 319. Why do I call it a Hail Mary parlay? Well, parlays are hard to hit, first of all. And now, Hail Mary pass, a deep pass. Hopefully this scores. Hopefully this goes. So my 4-fighter Hail Mary parlay, I have Karina Silva by decision. I have Barbosa and Klose under 2.5. I have Hooper and Hernandez over 2.5. And then last, I have Godinez to win by decision. That 4-fighter parlay is for 1615, 1,615. That's plus money right there. That's my Hail Mary parlay for this card. And if that hits, I'm just going to roll this over into the main event. You guys have to follow my socials for the bets that I place, the new bets that I place during the fight card, and just track me, man. So my socials, my Instagram, my Twitter is in the description below. I always post my picks and my bets on my socials, so go check that out. And then just praying for a good night of fights, for my picks and for my bets. So let's get it, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll see you guys on the next breakdown. And thank you for watching. Hopefully you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. And if you're watching this on Spotify, hit that follow button and rate the podcast 5 stars. That will help me a lot, and that will help my podcast get out to everyone who doesn't know about this. So thank you guys again. I'll see you guys later.
My shit different, making the kills to pay out the bills. You see the spots we living in. Tried your best to